Okay. All right, so let's start in our chair. Why not? Okay, so just feeling feet on the ground. And just a slow, simple flexion and extension. Right, you can start wherever you want to start. You can start with the head and notice how the rest of the body responds. Just tipping the head down and tipping the head up. Or initiating from the ribs, like rounding the back, shoulder blades wide, and a little more, just a little extension with shoulder blades coming in. And then pelvis, initiating from the pelvis, more posterior tilt, anterior tilt. You can pace the movement with your breath. Just a couple more. And letting the movement get smaller and smaller. Until you find somewhat neutral. One hand on heart, one hand on belly. And let's do one inhale with a sigh. Feeling that long exhale. And then again. This time with a hum in that long exhale. Good, sitting side saddle. So if you don't have the back of a chair, you can just use the edges of your seat at a simple rotation, or you can, slide to a wall. Just turning. Again, could be more mild, could be a little stronger. Start simple and let your breath just move into the ribs. Even move around the circumference of the ribs. And even down into the waist. And up into shoulders, base of neck. And then let's slowly release and come to the other side. And again, little turn, nice and gentle. Using your breath to move all those intercostals, the muscles between the ribs. Right, even the tissue inside, there's little sheaths inside the ribs. There's the pleura pleural sac that is attached to the ribs, heart, pericardium, diaphragm, and all attached to the ribs. And coming back through center, maybe even just notice center, notice which side was smoother, which side was stickier, grabbier, and then first side again. An easy breath. Slow, diffuse, and deep. And twist, come through center, pause. Good, and other side. So if we have a strong rotation, sometimes doing the counter rotation twice and doing the pattern that your body's already doing only once, or much more mildly, if you know which direction you're turning, or if you have a rotation that's prominent. And then coming back to center. And one more, just flexion and extension, maybe a couple. Just feeling into what the body needs. And then let's do one just simple chin to chest. Excuse me. Rolling the head to one side, coming into a side bend. And then rolling forward, chin to chest again. And then rolling to the other side, into the other side bend. And chin to chest. And head up. And then turning. So walking the feet wide. Got my ear pods. Toes out, heels in, and let's just tip onto one forearm onto that thigh, and just a little side bend. Turning, looking down towards that thigh. And maybe looking up. And then coming up and tipping to the other side. Opposite arm up and over, a little side bend. Turning, looking down at that thigh. And looking up. And coming up to sit. Okay, so you can play with toes out or toes slightly forward. And I'm just gonna hands to the floor. Good, and so one hand on one knee, just a little rotation. And could be less, could be hand more on ankle if that rotation feels too big. And then hand down and other side. Good, and hand down, and then hands onto both knees, and let's round up. And then walk the feet in, heels in, toes in, heels in, toes in. All right, back to side view. Okay, I think we've done these before. It's probably been a while. And you can put cushion under your knee. So we're gonna have 1 foot close to the chair. I'm sitting on the edge of the chair, 1 foot close to the chair, 1 leg straight. And maybe a little cushion under your knee if you need that. So hands on the front edge of the chair, and I'm just gonna step into both feet, shift my weight off the chair. Front knee goes to the floor. And then the hips lift further away from the chair. A little close to your tilt, and then coming back and sitting on the chair. And then again, a little down and forward and up and back and up onto the chair and down and forward and up, pressing into the foot, that foot closest to the chair, maybe even lifting ribs just a little and back. Right, we're still keeping those front lower ribs down a little bit, but you can still get a little lift through the upper ribs and back. Good. And then if you need blanket, we're just gonna switch to the other side. Good, same thing, 1 leg straight, 1 leg bent, 1 leg close to the chair, shifting off. And hip forward. And back. And onto the chair. And knee down. And move forward. And back. And knee down. Good, and maybe even slide that front foot a little further forward. It's a little more work for the arms, so if that's even possible. And back, last one. And forward. And back. And onto the chair. Good. Okay, one more silly thing. We're not going to do very much. Just grab your blocks, maybe fold your sticky mat, or use a blanket. I'm just using a sticky mat or a blanket over the edge of the chair. And then a blanket for the knee. So again, this is really discernment, discretion, depending on how close. If the knee is closer to the chair, it's just a sharper angle and deeper stretch. But I am gonna hands on blocks. I'm gonna back myself up a little bit, and I'm gonna put 1 knee on the blanket, ankle on the chair, other foot forward. Okay, and then I'm gonna bring hips back to the chair and then just slightly forward, whatever that means to you. And back. And a little bit forward, and again, a little posterior tilt. And back. And forward. Good, and back, and I'm going to bring both hands on the inside of that leg and just get a little more inner thigh on the front leg, a little less front thigh on the back leg, just a little. Good, and then going back to framing that front leg. And coming forward and pause, maybe coming up onto fingertips. Again, posterior tilt just to let more weight come up and back. And then both knees to the floor and pause. Okay, other side. Other knee on the blanket, foot forward. Good. Discernment with your body, with your breath. Good. Again, hips back and forward. Again, a little posterior tilt. And back. And forward. Again, you can think about kind of less weight on the hand, a little more on the fingertip. And back, and then let's bring both hands inside of that leg so it becomes a little bit more of an inner thigh stretch, especially on the front leg. You can even straighten as you bring the hips back, just to get a little hamstring. Good, and then framing that front leg. Good. Again, maybe leg straightens as you hit back, front leg, and then letting your weight sink forward. Maybe up on fingertips, maybe look up. And then slowly release. Okay, we just don't get to get into these upper fibers of the thigh very often. And that was just kind of a touch. But we'll come back to it. All right, let's come to the wall. So I'm going to take 2 blankets and I'm going to put them off to the side. And hips somewhat close to the wall, legs up the wall. Good, and then let's bend knees, feet on the wall. And let's just do a couple roll up and roll down before we put the blankets under. So arms alongside the body, or actually you can bend the arms, elbows close to the body. Hands can even be up. So letting the elbow, upper arm, shoulder blades sink into the floor as you press into the wall. Roll the knees up, thighs up, pelvis up, spine up, and then slowly roll down. Got a nice little adjustment in my back. Again, nice and easy. Good little weight into the elbow, upper arm, shoulder, shoulder blade, into the feet. Like you're pressing into the wall and pulling down just to roll shins, knees, thighs, pelvis, spine up. And slowly down. And again, taking your time articulating through the spines to move some weight through, especially the areas that are less mobile. Good, and maybe bring your blankets handy. We'll do one last roll up. And then elbows come back closer. Elbows, upper arms, shoulder blades, feet. Pulling into the wall and down. Rolling up And bring your blankets close to the wall. And then slowly, slowly roll down again. Yeah, it could be 2 blankets, could be 1. And then 2 straight legs. Could make any adjustments. You can, again, always favor on having more of a posterior tilt or an anterior tilt. All depends on what feels better on your spine, pelvis, the shape of your lower back, the weight through your ribs. Good. Let's bend the knees and bring feet closer to the hips, and then let's walk the feet wide. So we're in a squat shape. Good. Again, you get to decide to turn out. Even the distance feet are from the body, just depending on knees, groin, inner thighs. Good. And noticing your in breath and your out breath. Good. And let's play with just shifting the breath a little bit. So we're going to inhale through the nose. And always playing with a little more diffuse, slightly longer breath. Exhaling through the mouth. Inhaling through the mouth. And exhaling through the nose. One more like that. Inhale through the nose. Exhale through the mouth. Inhale through the mouth. Exhale through the nose. And let's walk the feet back in to center, straighten the legs. Good. You can even separate the feet just a little bit and turn the toes towards each other and then away from each other, just rolling the legs internally and externally. Good. And then straight legs. Let's take the legs out into a straddle. Again, adjust either height of blankets or closeness to wall, whatever your body needs. And letting your breath almost guide you, right? Ideally, the body will fall into a deeper, easier breath when it feels comfortable. Relaxing your throat and your jaw. And even that whole kind of cheek, upper palate, and the upper jaw, teeth, soft palate, back of throat. And letting the breath stay present with whatever is happening in the body, the softening or even the support, the long legs. You might even have to put some support under the outer thighs, within the knees. Last breath. Bending the knees and come back into that squat shape. Making any adjustments closer in, further out. Feet. And then walking the feet together. And straighten the legs. Good. So let's take right ankle onto left thigh just above the knee. And again, you get to decide, right? So if you slide the foot down and you start to strongly posteriorly tilt, you can play with that shape, or you can back up so you're still more neutral in the pelvis. And you can try both. Okay, they're just different tissues, different directions of fibers. And then maybe just a little slow, heavy toggle to one side. Letting both thighs and the pelvis just shift weight towards one side of the body, and then slowly center. And other side of the body. And center. And side. And center. Good. And I'm going to walk that foot up just a little bit higher. And again, see if this works for you, but I'm going to slide the foot down towards the front hip on the opposite side of that straightish leg. And so the knees come a little closer together, a little more, just a different relationship in the thigh. And then maybe walk that foot down again. Might be an inch, might be 2 inches, might be more. And let the bent leg knee come away from the wall. And just another breath. If it's tolerable, you can do a little slow tip to one side. and center. And the other side. And center. Good. Slide the foot out, maybe wrap the leg around. Just pause here. With the legs crossed, one foot on the wall. Good. And again, even here, maybe just a slow tip of the pelvis and legs to one side. Slowly through center. And the other side. And center. Good. And one leg up, other leg up. Again, maybe feet a little distance apart, just a couple turn the toes in towards each other and out away from each other. Good, and then feet a little more neutral, and then let's bring other ankle, left ankle on that right thigh. And again, you get to decide where the pelvis feels best, right? More neutral or favoring towards somewhere between anterior to posterior, or more posterior with the foot down the wall. You can even take a blanket out or add a blanket. And listening for your breath, that smooth breath. The softness in the back and belly, groin, thigh. And slow little weight shift to one side. Maybe the head wants to also participate in that. Side, center, side. Noticing the pacing and the range that feel good. One more time each side. Right, let that pacing allow just for more of softness or integration. And then opening up that right leg again, just so you can maybe slide that left foot down towards the right hip. Left knee will come in towards the center line more. And then again, if there's any possibility of bending that right leg again, play with that. And any possibility of a weight shift side to side, play with that. Right, it might be more through the breath than your body. That's okay. Almost let the breath create the space or the softness for possibility. And then back out of it a little bit and let that left leg wrap around the right leg. Maybe right foot lower. On the wall. And again, that slow, heavy shift one side. And center. And other side. And center. Legs slowly up the wall. Again, if you need it, take your feet a little wider and just a little roll in and roll out. Bend your knees, feet to the wall. Again, pressing down or into the wall and down, lifting knees, shins. I'm just going to slide the blankets out, roll the hips down. Good. And wherever your blankets are, whatever side the blankets are on, you can even let them stay there. And let's walk the feet down to the hips. I'm just going to push into the wall and shift the hips away from the blankets a tiny bit. Your blankets might be on, I don't know what side. And then we're going to walk the feet. Take your arms above the blankets, walk the feet over. And let your legs rest. So I have my blankets lengthwise or following the line of my lower legs. You can also take blankets out, but or you can try both, right? With the knees up on the blankets, it's a little different than having the knees on the floor. It's a more shallow rotation, but it also loads, right? The fulcrum becomes your hip as opposed to your waist. And just pause here and maybe just a simple slow roll of the head to one side, heavy, the weight of the head heavy, and making any adjustments you need to make in the legs, in the body, in the breath. And other side. And center. To walk the feet slowly back up to center. Pelvis back onto your back. Bring your hips back in line with your ribs. Straighten your legs. Maybe even just a little mini anterior, posterior tilt in the pelvis. Just to feel sitting bones heavy and back of waist heavy in the opposite movement. And then blankets or no blankets over to the other side, depending on what you ended up with. Okay, bend your knees, shift your hips away from your blankets if you have them, away from that direction, and walk your feet over, let your shins Settle on the blankets if you're using them. Arms can be out to the side. Heavy ribs, heavy legs, heavy hips. Slow, heavy roll of the head. Doesn't have to be a big movement, just that simple toggle side, center, side, center. Slowly walk your feet back up to center. Bring your hips under your ribs again. Straighten your legs. Maybe even arms a little closer to body, hands on belly. Just feeling that the floor against your back. Maybe even any sense of softening in your own body, like that interface between the floor and your body. Softening in your breath. And knees and roll to your side. Good. And just turning away from the wall. You can even scooch just straight out from the wall. Let's just grab those blankets and put them under your sides. You can even put one under your thighs, one over on your belly, whatever feels helpful, soothing, grounding. Just feeling the movement of your breath, a little buoyancy. Swelling and settling in your ribs, that's softening across your face and brow and eyes. Maybe even that sense of the sun, even though we're inside, just that sense of the fullness of, right, the fullness of sun, the fullness of it as we begin summer, the length of the days. We also have full moon tomorrow, so the lengths of the nights and that bright light. And with the summer busyness, just almost find a pacing in your breath and a pacing in your system that allows you to find balance or coherence in this amount of fullness. And then slowly, slowly, just a little movement, fingers and toes. Staying with those slightly longer breaths. Little movement in hands and feet. And arms and legs. And bending, folding. Gently rolling. Bringing yourself up to sit in your own time. Maybe one hand on heart, one hand on belly. Still with that longer inhale and longer exhale. That sense of pacing the breath. Pacing just your whole system, thoughts, sensations, awarenesses. And after your next exhale, inhale for an Om. Om.